welcome back to the program, a man who always drops unbelievably insightful and fantastic rock knowledge on us. He's a true historian of the world of rock music, and he, of course, is a legendary performer in his own right, who thankfully is going to be doing some more live shows. I didn't think we were going to get any more live shows from this guy, but he is going to do a handful of dates. We're going to talk about that and more with the one and only Uncle Ted Nugent. Ted, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing so good, Eddie. A big salute to my fellow real music lover. God bless you, my friend.
Well, listen, man, I'm glad that, I mean, we're talking right now because last time I talked to you, you were doing a tour that you said was going to be your last. You wanted to wind down a little bit. You wanted to be home more. You wanted to be with your dogs more. And you did come up with a run of dates here, though, to fire up the band again in Texas and Michigan. Tell us about that decision.
Well, I remember the conversations. I love my conversations with you, Eddie, because you're like the Grand Trunk Railroad of real music lovers. And we celebrate that unification of all those people out there that still love heart and soul, you know, piss and vinegar, real rhythm and blues, soul music, rock and roll. But I never used the word retire. I mean, we had a great conversation. We had so many conversations. A lot of people, how come you're going to play again? You said you were going to retire. I never used the R word. I made it quite clear that I still crave to play effect. This morning I was playing some Gibson Birdland to a Fender amp. And my feet never touched the ground. I'm still absolutely stimulated by the pursuit of musical guitar adventure. So with Jason Hartless and Johnny Big and my buddy here, John Crooks in Texas, we're going to do a bunch of rock outs in Texas in April and May, and then in Michigan, and maybe beyond in August. But yeah, I still play, but as you stated, I need to be home to my damn dogs. When I leave home, my dogs look so sad. And when I come home, they just about blow up and run and bark and turn in circles. So I have my priorities. This year I will break 7,000 rock outs. I will go over the 7,000 mark. So I'm an old man. I'm 76, but I still crave grabbing that guitar and playing these grinds and grooves, flame-throwing fun music, man.
Well, you're 76 in great shape with still great energy and attitude, and I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't play. The last few times I saw you play, you're still bringing it. I've always maintained, as long as you're still good and it's real and it's live and it's raw and you're still living up to your legacy, there's no reason why anybody should stop. I saw the Stones last summer. I couldn't believe how good they still were, and those guys have years on you. So as long as you're still feeling it, why not go do it, right?
Absolutely. You see Sammy Hagar out there, and he's rocking as good as he ever has. And it's about attitude. You nailed it, Eddie. It's about attitude. If you still really, really love the music and you're dedicated to put on a show that earns the money of those ticket buyers, then of course it's the American dream. I got old buddies that still weld. My favorite people are welders. My buddies that are good welders, they still weld, and one of them's 86 years old. So no matter what your American dream is, if you're still able to get such gratification, and God bless the welders, but they'll never feel the sensations that music events create. I mean, the energy at my gigs, I do these rock outs. I just played the national anthem at Mar-a-Lago for a bunch of Hellraisers for Donald Trump, and it was like a gunstock version of Woodstock. These people love the music. They love the guitar playing. They pay attention. And I'm inspired by that. So as long as the inspiration is there, it's like you on Trunk Nation. You do it because you still want to talk about the music that moves your life, that is inspiring to you, the soundtrack for our American dream, our life's adventure. That's still alive and well. I'm a lucky, high-energy, healthy guy, and I play my guitar like a horny teenager every time I pick it up.
Well, yeah, you're right. You know, the thing that I like is when people talk to me all the time about this show, and they say that, you know, even though I'll play some clips of music here and there, it's a talk show about rock music. And it's funny because people say to me all the time, like, you know, hearing you talk about it or hearing the guests you have on or hearing what they're doing. So, you know, people change as they get older, Ted. I mean, you and I really didn't, but people do. But it maybe re-inspires them to go back and like, Hey, you know what? I heard Ted Nugent today, and let me go put on Free for All again. I haven't listened to that in a long time. So, there's a lot of ways you can kind of inspire people through, to maybe bring them back to this a little bit if they've drifted later in life.
It sounds like you're talking about this new thing I got going thanks to Jason Hartless called the NUGE Vault. When Jason and I were rehearsing for the Adios Mofo tour with Johnny, we were in my big barn in Michigan, and there's just walls and acres, literally acres of boxes and crates and big giant piles of tapes and videos and CDs and cassettes and stacks of photos and rehearsals and jam sessions. And I had kind of walked past it every day as I do my daily life, but Jason stopped and looked at it and started digging into these boxes. So you're talking about rekindling and remembering those exciting moments. I'm sure when Jagger, he's like in his 80s, when he gets on stage, I'm sure he remembers playing the show with James Brown. I'm sure he remembers recording Last Time and Satisfaction and Street Fighting Man. Well, Jason started pulling out all this stuff from the archives, and so we've got a new thing called the NugeVault.com that I don't even remember some of the photos where they were taken. We had to dig and find out where these photos were taken from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, all the way up to the last tour. But it's fascinating to dig back in. In fact, this year, when we play our shows in Michigan and Texas and in Arkansas, we're going to play the whole first solo album. It's 50th year celebration of Stranglehold and that first solo album with the incredible Derek St. Holmes and Cliff Davies and Rob Grange. My God, how lucky can I be? So we're going to play the whole 50th anniversary Ted Nugent first solo album, and then a bunch of other stuff from Crave to Great White Buffalo to the brand new stuff from Detroit Muscle. But you're right. Those musical moments are timeless, and everybody has an exciting memory that has a song that coincides with that. And I have unlimited exciting memories with unlimited exciting songs. So when in doubt, whip it out.
So the Nuge Vault is going to become active, according to what I read, on March 14th, and people can find out more. The site is NugeVault.com. Ted, it's funny you're bringing up your archives and doing this, because this is my 41st year in broadcasting, and I have this archive that I've built of all these interviews on all these different formats, whether it's DAT or cassette or CD or VHS, and it's daunting. I do the same thing. I walk past it and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this stuff. I'm 60 years old. I don't know how long I'm going to do this for. I don't know what to do with it. You found something cool to do with it, but one of the biggest challenges is like storing it, restoring it, transferring it, making a chronicle of it, indexing everything. Were you good with your archives? Were you good with your history in terms of the way you stored it and marked it? Is it easy to dig into, or is it going to be a big undertaking?
It's a pain in the ass because we just kind of tossed every year's tours and every rehearsal and every recording session. My crew, my incredible crew, as lucky as I am to have the best musicians at my side forever, I've also had the best, most professional, dedicated work ethic crews. And those crews, what they used to call roadies, these technicians, they're so dedicated to the music. They so love the music. Yeah, they're a guitar tech, they're a luthier, they're a drum tech, they're a carpenter, they're a welder, they're mechanics. But ultimately, the music drives them, just like it drives you, Eddie. And so when Jason started digging into these boxes, his eyes bugged out because who doesn't want to hear the recording of Ted Nugent and Eddie Van Halen backstage in California, or with jamming with Billy Gibbons, and so many amazing things that have taken place that I move on to the next thing. And yeah, I love to play the old songs. I mean, I really love to play them. But I'm coming up with new stuff all the time. I'm looking forward to tomorrow more than I dig into yesterday. But Jason Hartless, what he's doing, digitizing and filing and putting them in series chronologically, what an undertaking. I'm out checking my trap line and filling bird feeders, and he's digging into boxes and digitizing a jam session with the Mothers of Invention at the Fifth Dimension in Ann Arbor in 1967. It's unbelievable. When he shows me this stuff, I get teary-eyed. I go, God, I remember that, hanging out with these guys backstage. What a lucky life. And it's all chronicled, and it's all going to be available at NUGEvault.com. People are already signing up, because if I wasn't me, I'd sign up. I love this stuff.
Well, you're lucky. You're really lucky to have somebody like Jason then, because I'm the same way as you. I always think of the next. I never look back. But then you take that second and you look back and you're like, holy shit, what do I do with all this? There's a guy doing a documentary right now on my career, and he dug into it a little bit, and he's like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what we do with this. So to have somebody to do that for you, and to be able to go down memory lane and jar some memories, has got to be awesome. You know, you mentioned Van Halen. I don't know if you've heard about this or you follow this, but in the last few days, all sorts of, I don't know where it's coming from, but all sorts of unseen early Van Halen video from 1978, professionally shot, has shown up on YouTube. And I don't know, like, do you have a lot of stuff like that? Like, you didn't even know about? Is there like a lot of Nugent video that hasn't come out from back in the day?
Yes. I've seen some video of the original Van Halen playing Parchment Farm by Cactus. And there's not many guitar players that can execute that flurry and fury and outrage, but Eddie nailed it as a young guy. So, yeah, when you see stuff like that, it does rekindle and remind you the work ethic, the dedication of these musicians. And once again, the musicians I've had at my side all these years were maniac, work ethic, gung-ho, dedicated virtuosos. And when Jason comes up and shows me a jam session, and we're playing Wang Dang Sweet Poontang in Memphis, 1976, and I go, good God almighty, that is so intense. That's so outrageous. I saw that you used a little clip. Anybody wants to get mellow, turn around, get the fuck out of here. I mean, there's moments like that where I was so out of my mind, so beautifully, so effervescently out of my mind with sheer abandon that why would you not want to see a guy that has absolutely no rules, no constraints, no parameters, just going berserk. And the music is still tight because of Rob and Cliff and Derek. And again, all the bands. We got some footage of the damn Yankees. I mean, Tommy Shaw and Jack Blades and Michael Cardelloni. What musical forces to reckon with, and the fun. I think you could talk about the music, the tightness, the musical adventure, the virtuosity, the talent, the gifts, the delivery, but ultimately the word fun. I have had so much and continue to have so much fun with what Chuck Berry taught me, that here it is 2025, and I'm getting a kick out of it like it's the first time I've seen it. And like you said, Eddie, some of this stuff I had never seen before, and Jason's digging out. By the way, he's a hard-working son of a bitch, man, because what he's doing, going through my barn and finding all this stuff, taking it to a studio in Nashville, and again, digitizing it all. He was lucky he found a lot of it in time, that it still is crisp and it has great audio and great video on some of these VHS tapes and stuff. So, yeah, this is an exciting time. But I don't dwell on the past, but as you just articulated, when you're reminded of that energy of our youth in the past, it makes tomorrow's music better. It makes my next musical adventure going, yeah, just play that raw riff that a kid's first starting out would play. And that's usually the best riff of all.
Yeah. Hey, Ted, you know, for younger people that don't remember or know about what you did in the 70s, especially, like you were an arena headliner, a stadium headliner, but your shows were unbelievably, like, as a younger man, you were just nonstop movement, and you swung from ropes. And I was listening to Joe Rogan recently. He was talking to somebody about you riding a buffalo out on stage. Of all the stuff you've done on stage, did you ever feel like in danger, or did you ever get seriously hurt, or were there ever anything you did on stage live where you're like, maybe this wasn't the smartest idea once you got into it?
All of the above, yes. I'm sitting here talking to you right now with 2 new knees because I didn't know what a meniscus was until my athletic doctor said, you don't have any meniscus left. Jumping off those amps 5, 10, 20 times a night, they were way up there. People called them Marshalls. I was jumping off a Fender Twins stacked on top of Fender dual Showman amps, going up to a drum riser that was 5 feet off the ground, and I could do a standing leap in my youth. I was like Bruce Lee with a birdland. I mean, the running, the athleticism, the ramps. We created the whole ramp thing on stage because I was so hyper, so driven by the rhythms that my incredible band provided that you can't stand there and play. Coming down out of the ceiling at Cobo Hall in the 80s, my hair got caught in the pulley 140 feet up in the air, and I had to literally violently yank out that big shard of hair from the pulley, or I'd have plummeted to the ground and died. Riding the Buffalo on stage at the House of Blues in Chicago, where we're going up the elevator, where the Buffalo's horns were up against my ass, and if he would have sneezed, I'd have been fixed for life. So yeah, there are a lot of things. Jumping on top of my Ford Bronco, opening up at a Whiplash Bash at Cobo Hall, I jumped way up on top. And in the dark, I just leaped wildly, blindly off that big, giant lifted Ford Bronco and hit the stage. So I should have died, maybe 30, 40 times. But luckily, I was really healthy and athletic. And like God turned President Trump's head in Butler, Pennsylvania, I think God saved me from killing myself coming out of the ceiling, riding buffaloes on stage, and just the mayhem that we created. But the music is so intense that it drives you. It's like when I raced off-road. If you don't push yourself to the limit, just short of crashing, you won't win the race. You have to win an off-road race if you push yourself to dangerous, near-death limits to come in first. I couldn't have told you that was my approach back then, but that was my approach back then.
Had you, before, I didn't know you rode the Buffalo in Chicago. Where do you get a Buffalo in Chicago and bring it into the House of Blues? Like, how do you even talk to the promoter about that? How does that work?
It's so hysterical. I met this guy that raised this buffalo from a calf from a herd in South Dakota at a governor's fundraiser out in South Dakota many, many years ago. And he rode this giant buffalo, 2,000-pound South Dakota angry bison bull. And it was very impressive because he taught Chief, the buffalo, to do tricks because he raised it from a calf. He literally bottle-fed it. His mother had died in the wilderness from disease or wolves or something. And so he would carry it and really, really imprinted on it. Really, he was his best friend. Well, when I saw him ride that buffalo at this fundraiser for a military charity, I said, boy, I need to ride that buffalo because I've hunted buffalo with the Native Americans and killed the buffalo and shared the incredible, perfect, sacred protein with the Indian nation and with soup kitchens and homeless shelters. So I know the ultimate use of a buffalo is food. But they're also a mystical, dynamic, majestic presence. It's the only animal that looks for a storm and heads into the storm. I like that. That's my life in a nutshell. So Jerry acclimated me to Chief, brought him to my farm in Michigan, and slowly but surely I got closer and closer where Chief would sniff my hand without trying to kill me. And then eventually Jerry got Chief to accept me, and I got on him and rode him across the prairies during a snowstorm. Eddie, talking about the spirit of the wild, talking about connecting with these majestic beasts. And I know some people don't think you should domesticate wild animals, but we do. We do. And if it's done with reverence and done with respect and taken real genuine care of these animals, then there's a place for that. Well, we decided to take them on the road. And you got to realize when we go on stage, the thundering. The drums are the Gibson Birdlands feeding back like an angry beast. Noise, and the lights are flashing, and the crowd's going nuts. And Chief would come out, and I'd be on his back going, "Holy shit! I hope he doesn't get pissed off and kill me or the first four rows." But luckily, I had spent so much time riding him that he came to accept me, and even accept the chaos and the outrage of a rock and roll concert. And people would witness me come out riding Chief on stage. I did it like, 30, 40 times, maybe more, all around the country. And people didn't know whether to shit or go blind. They go, "What in God's name is Nugent doing now?" But it represented, ultimately, the encore is a song called Great White Buffalo. It's about a majestic beast that finds the battered herd and saves that battered herd from the white men that were trying to destroy the buffalo, to destroy the Native Americans. So there's a real physics of spirituality in my relationship with the bison overall. And to see it between my legs, I mean, Eddie, what an experience that was. And there's footage of that. There's footage of me being trained to ride Chief without him killing me, and footage of him backstage with his eyes all, glowing and looking for trouble. It's out of body. I mean, never been anything like it in the history of entertainment, I don't think, especially in the world of rock and roll. So Jason's uncovering a bunch of footage, a bunch of moments with Chief, and he finally died years later, and I do believe that we sautéed some of him. I mean,
oh, Jesus. I figured there was more. I figured
test drives my barbecue.
Yeah, right. I figured you didn't roll into a show and just have, I need a buffalo on the rider. Promoters, did any of the promoters give you a hard time about it and say, "No, we don't want that here"? Did you have any issues?
No, there never was, because they knew that my crew, my team, my management, and they discussed it with Jerry, who was the owner of the Buffalo, and he articulated that he'd done many, many rodeos, many, many public presentations and entertainment venues, so the Buffalo was ready for, even though it was a new level of intensity, that none of the promoters loved the idea. They thought, "Well, this is outrageous. Let's do this." So it was a lot. It added another level of insanity and fun, while definitely taking care of Chief. I mean, we transported him in his own trailer. He had the ultimate of care. We took it slow and easy. He had the best hay and the best food in the world, and we got along just great. And people just loved those shows when they saw a buffalo between my legs. How cool is that?
We were talking on this show, Ted, a couple days ago, we were talking about the great live albums of the 70s. And of course, you have one of those with Double Live Gonzo. So when you went into the Nuge Vault, is there anything from Gonzo that didn't make the record? And is there full video? Did you shoot those shows as well at that time?
Yes, and yes. And Jason showed me some of that stuff, and I didn't know that we captured some of that stuff, and I didn't know there were so many different songs that didn't end up on the album that we have recordings of, and they're outrageous. Once again, would Cliff and Rob represent the greatest rhythm section of all time? I think so. And Derek's vocals and his guitar playing, holy shit. If I wasn't me, I'd go see that band every night. So, yeah, we captured a lot of that stuff, and that'll be part of the Nuge Vault. And Jason's having a riot finding this stuff and digitizing it and cleaning it up. I don't know how he does it, technically speaking, but, boy, he's done a wonderful job. He really is a technician.
You talk about Van Halen, who, of course, you took out on one of their first tours, and you told me once a story about you and Eddie changing each other's guitars, and you trying to play his guitar, him trying to play the Birdland. But the other day, I had a call into this show, and somebody brought up the Scorpions, and they said the first time they ever saw Scorpions was opening for you, and I think that was the first time they had come to America. Was that the case? Did you take them on their first tour, do their first shows with them?
Yeah, there's a bunch of those bands. Golden Earring came over first time. AC/DC's first 3 tours were opening for me. Def Leppard. I mean, I have I been to the mountaintop or what? Just the best bands in the world. And remember, when these bands open for me, or when I open for them, we watch each other. I mean, I'm a music lover. That's why you and I get along. We love music. We know what goes into creating these musical moments in our lives. And so, yeah, I sponged and appreciated and really reveled in all those incredible bands. All those bands that came over to the States, they opened for me their first multiple tours. So I'm very proud of that.
And Ted, speaking as you're such a historian of rock, and I love, hearing about the old days from you and even the roots of rock and roll. So the other day, I'm not a nominator, but I am a voter for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I have a lot of issues with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but to their credit, they've made me a voter. One of my issues is I think you should be in it and you haven't been nominated yet. And I don't know where I'd love your thoughts on that. But beyond that, one of the guys that is on the ballot this year that I was shocked wasn't in already was Chubby Checker. And there were a number of people that had hit me up and said, that guy should be in. And then there were some people that pushed back and said, well, maybe not. He's really known for the one big song and all of that. I don't know. I feel like that's just such the roots of rock and roll that he should be there. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, number one, I've never made the case that I should be in it because I should be in it. I don't even have to make the case. If you just have a list of credentials, a list of accomplishments, I certainly should have been in before Madonna or Grandmaster Flash, but I never make the case for me. I make the case for Jim McCarty and Mitch Ryder. I make the case for Triumph and REO Speedwagon and Styx. I make the case for all these real rock and roll. It says Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they've basically pissed on Chuck Berry's grave, the way I look at it. It's inexcusable. So thank God you're on there and Tom Morello's on there, and they can help make decisions that cling to and show respect for the term rock and roll. But Chubby Checker, if he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Grandmaster Flash, and I'm not knocking Grandmaster Flash, maybe I am, but there's a bunch of people that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that is just sacrilege. It's just rude. It's dishonest. It's pissing in the face of Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and Little Richard and all these magnificent real rock and roll masters. So Chubby Checker certainly qualifies as an all-American, historical, iconic rock and roll master. So he should certainly be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, we voted for him. Tom, I know you're friends with Morello. I am as well. Tom is on the nominating committee. So Tom is a guy that could get you on a ballot. I get the ballot and I just vote on what they give me. But you have a friendship with Tom, right? You guys talk.
Yeah, we do. We keep in touch. I admire his work ethic, his dedication to his craft. He's a smart guy. He's a family guy. He provides for and protects his family. So we got a lot of things in common that fall under the heading of truth, logic, common sense, and piss and vinegar and real music. So he made a case one time on Howard Stern's show that he actually phrased it. Well, he said, I suppose you could make a case for Ted Nugent being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Oh, you suppose, do you? I don't know where you would get that supposition, but again, I'm referencing the difference between real rock and rollers and people who are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that have nothing to do with rock and roll. Whether it's Madonna or Grandmaster Flash, I mean, if it's about your impact on the creation of Chuck Berry, that was the next step from the Howlin' Wolf and the Lightnin' Hopkins and the original black creators of uppity blues and gospel that turned into rock and roll. And Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley, Little Richard perfected it. So did Elvis. So did Jerry Lee Lewis. And so did Chubby Checker. And so did Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, that they're not in it, that Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because Mitch Ryder's still out there rocking his balls off. Jim McCarty and Johnny Benagic of the original Detroit Wheels, they're still out rocking their balls off. and that they're not in it is it's just rude. It's dishonest. So if you list the credentials of why any real rock and roller is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I think we can come to the conclusion, honestly, that REO and Triumph and Styx should be in it. And I think I
Grand
should be
Funk.
in it, but I don't
Of course
sweat
you.
it.
Of course you should be in it, but Grand Funk, I mean, you being a Michigan guy, I mean, Grand Funk has never even been on a ballot. Jay Giles, Meatloaf, who of course sang on your records early on, as you mentioned, Styx, REO, it's endless. I mean, so you're in good company not being in there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think Grand Funk, I keep in touch with Mark Farner all the time. He's a musical force and just a great man, and their music is the definitive soundtrack of real American rock and roll. And I don't know how the internet and the Wi-Fi stuff works, but when I turn my phone on, I get stuff. Stuff shows up on my phone. I have no idea how it shows up, but it does show up. And when there's a reference or a thread about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I would say out of thousands of statements, Grand Funk Railroad is referenced more than anybody. How can the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominating committee not know that? How can they not know that?
Yeah, and Bad Company finally on a ballot, and we'll see if they make it, but this is the first time they're on a ballot, so we'll see what happens. Ted, just a couple more things and I'll let you go. Again, going back to the old days, I remember I used to love playing the Ted Nugent pinball machine. Do you still have one of those?
Yeah, the concept of people slamming my metal balls back and forth every night is really inspiring. Yeah, there's a bunch of those out there. I've signed a bunch of people, track me down, and they get me on the road, and I autograph their Ted Nugent pinball machine. Yeah, I think my daughter has one. And my taxidermist. Do you have a taxidermist? I have a taxidermist. One of my taxidermists has a Ted Nugent pinball machine. So yeah, that was a cute little era. I like having a pinball machine like Kiss. I don't know how many other rock and rollers have a pinball machine, but I know Kiss and we have them.
Well, back then, in those days, when your pinball machine was out, late 70s or whenever that was, it was rare. You had one, Kiss had one, Elton John had one, the Stones had one, so you were in good company. These days, the new modern machines, there's a bunch of them. There's a Rush one, there's a Metallica one, Guns N' Roses. But I love pinball, and I remember it taking me back as a kid growing up on the Jersey Shore on the boardwalk, playing the Kiss machine, playing the Nugent machine. Those were a lot of fun, and it was such a cool thing if you're a rock fan and to see these bands you loved having these really cool machines with the lights and the music. It was awesome.
Here's one for you, Eddie Trunk. I hope Tom Morello is listening. But if a rock and roll artist has a pinball machine, they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How's that?
There's a great criteria right there. One last thing. You mentioned you still play and you're always looking forward, and now you've got these dates, and I'm going to run the dates down for everybody here before I let you go. But do you have a desire to still make new music? Have you thought about making a new record?
Oh, I'm making new music all the time. I got a bunch of instrumental stuff and some sassy, nasty, bluesy, grinding rock and roll rhythm and blues songs. Yeah, with guys like Jason Hartless and Johnny Big and Greg Smith and John Kutz here in Texas. With the bands that I get to jam with, it's the same as 1958, Eddie, when I didn't know much about the landscape of the Fender Duosonic guitar neck and my Fender Bassman amplifier that I performed with the Motown Orchestra at Cobo Hall in '64. When I would get to the rehearsal with my band, the Lures, my dogs love that, by the way. I would plug in my Fender Duosonic, and immediately, even though I only knew some of the rudimentary Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley grinding licks, I would immediately kind of bastardize them and do a variation of the overview of a Chuck Berry grind. And that was 1958. Well, every year since then, since 1958, it probably started before that, playing at the Rosedale Community Center. I played a solo I played the Ventures songs at the Rosedale Park Community Center in 1957. Anyhow, when I pick up the guitar, I leave the normal world. I am so eager to lay my hands on a fret and pluck it, and not strum. I don't play folk music or country music. I don't strum. I kind of pummel. I kind of grind that you hear in the introduction guitar licks of all my songs. So 3 days ago, with my band here in Texas, we got together, and as soon as I plugged in, that Birdland starts making noise because it's a hollow body. It starts making all this wonderful noise, and I have to back away from it so I can contain the feedback, and immediately my hands start playing brand new licks, and every song you've ever heard on every Ted Nugent album and the Damn Yankees, whether it's my Damn Yankee sidekicks or my Ted Nugent band sidekicks or just a jam session, they go, "What is that? What is that you just played?" And I go, "I have no idea, but it's cool as shit." So yeah, I can't stop myself. I literally pick up the guitar and grooves happen, grind, patterns come out. That's why all my songs start with a guitar pattern. All my favorite music does start with a guitar pattern, whether it's an Aerosmith or a ZZ Top or the Stones or the Beatles or the Who or the Kinks or AC/DC or Van Halen, whatever it is. My favorite music starts with a rhythmical, inescapable guitar grind. And it happened this morning. I have a 60th birthday Birdland that Gibson made for me through these custom amps that I'm dicking around with. And it started making, I have a Ted Nugent Real America Voice Spirit Campfire podcast, and I play my guitar. I don't know, go to realamericavoice.com or whatever, but I'm do it every week. And I pick up the guitar and things happen. So yeah, I'm making new music. I'm going to get in the studio. We got some maniac technicians here in Waco, Texas, and we're going to go in and capture some of this stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if I can call Eddie Trunk and go, "Hey Eddie, here's a new song. Play it."
All right. Well, we'll be looking forward to that. You mentioned Damn Yankees a couple times. It's a band that people always ask me about. Didn't you get up with Night Ranger and do one? And I think you got up with Styx and did one, right?
Absolutely. They're my dear, dear friends. They're very inspiring musically and just as great gentlemen. And Michael Cardelloni with Leonard Skinner. Yeah, Night Ranger's on the road all the time. In fact, I'm doing a military fundraiser in Jackson, Michigan, I think September 6th, for my John Bailey excavating friend, and Night Ranger is performing, and I will get up there. We'll play Cat Scratch Fever and Coming of Age, and we'll play Damn Yankees song. I might get up there and play Still Rockin' America with them. So, yeah, I get up. I mean, who's going to stop me? You know, I mean, I got a guitar. I'm going to come up on stage and plug up your ass if I have to.
Well, I see those guys all the time. Actually, I'm going to see them next week because they're on a cruise that I'm hosting, Monsters of Rock cruise. So it's always good seeing them, and they're still bringing it. And I'm actually doing something with Styx.
Amazing band. But, Eddie, I got to tell you, God bless you guys for going on those cruise ship rockouts, because I look at it as a cruise gig as a jail on the water. I wouldn't get on that damn boat. I turned down a lot of great offers. I can't imagine getting on that boat. Good for you.
I love them. It's you got to go fun to understand it. It's not like that. It's like a resort on water. You don't even know. It's great. You love it. You should do it.
Everybody loves it. Everybody loves it, except me.
You can hunt whales or something off the side of the boat if you want.
Okay, I'll bring my harpoon and my guitar.
Yeah. There you go. You can shoot stuff in the water. Ted Nugent cruise. Everybody just takes their bows and you just shoot the stuff in the water. You can pull up the fish. There you go.
We actually do that. It's a great sport. Bow fishing. We shoot sharks and we shoot big game and invasive species. But it's a huge sport. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Bow fishing.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, there you go. There's your angle. And then you play, the band plays on the stage, and you got a Nugent concert. It's perfect. Speaking of Nugent.
Helicopter me in for one day.
Speaking of Nugent concerts, here's the dates. You've got April 5th in St. Joe, Texas, the 25th of April, Orange Grove, Texas, 26th, Cristoval, Texas. Then you go into May 10th, Buda, Texas, May 17th, El Dorado, Arkansas, and then a couple in August, the 29th, Ludington, Michigan, and the 30th, Paw Paw, Michigan. So those are the dates so far. Tickets, VIPs, more information on the Nuge Vault. It's all at tednugent.com. Do you hope to add more shows? Could we see a few more get sprinkled in at some point?
Yeah, there are a bunch of new ones. I'll send you the list. But these are called the Ted Nugent Shit Kicker Speakeasy Rockouts, where we just get up there, play all kinds of music, my classics, damn Yankee stuff, James Brown, Rolling Stones, Beatles stuff, the original stuff that we all learned our guitar playing on. So, yeah, Ted Nugent Shit Kicker Speakeasies in Texas. I'll send you the whole list in Texas in April and May. And then in August, we're doing, I think, at least 6 or 8 in Michigan. And, again, I do them because I can get home to my dogs at night. That's the goal.
All right. Well, listen, it's always great to talk to you, Ted. Congrats on everything. Looking forward to seeing you back out on the road. Hopefully somewhere I can catch one of these things. And again, the Nuge Vault, I love that kind of archival stuff. That's really, really awesome. All the best to you and the family, Ted. Thanks for the time. Always good to chat.
Yeah, thanks to you, and a big salute to you, Eddie, for keeping that music craving alive, man. Us music lovers love how you dissect it and celebrate it. You're doing God's work, man. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Live it up.
Bye-bye. There he goes, everybody. Ted Nugent. Always good to talk to Ted. Always good stuff in there. And at 76, still bringing the energy, still making music, thinking about new music, and still doing scattered dates. But and he's right. He never did say he was retiring. He didn't do like a farewell tour. It was the end of large-scale touring. But he just, as you heard, wants to get home, wants to get back to his dogs, his family, what have you, and trying to do stuff that he can kind of run out, do the date, and get back. Well, always great to visit with Ted Nugent. And he is a guy that if people were being totally objective and blocked out some of the other positions he has, whether you agree with him or not, let's be honest, Ted is unfortunately, I think, penalized for some of his positions, whether it be in, hunting, politics, whatever it may be, mostly the politics end of it. He unfortunately wrongfully gets marginalized because I don't believe you should penalize people for their political views. But Ted, let's be honest, does get hit like that. And if he didn't, he very well and very likely should be in, and probably already would be in, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He is absolutely worthy of that honor. Unfortunately, he'll probably never see it because of what I just talked about. But of course, in the interview you just heard, nothing but conversation about rock music and his coming live shows. Always entertaining, the great Ted Nugent.